Thank you guys for being here. Obviously, last week, another week of us being all in and finding a way to get a road win in our first conference victory on Saturday. I was pleased with the mindset, the approach from the guys all week and the way they prepared. Think about the Arkansas game. It was easy to sit there and let the guys reflect on that, especially as people continue to ask about that. But our guys had an amazing focus and a great way to practice all week, and ultimately found a way to play for 4 quarters and get our first victory of the conference slate so far. And so I thought there's some things from the film defensively. I thought we missed some tackles early and found a way to clean that up. Obviously gave up 3 explosive plays. When it's all said and done, you sit there and think about that second play of the game that was a 38-yard pass, but then ultimately defense settled in, found ways to handle their tempo. I thought they did a nice job with that. Offensively, obviously, we can't have another sack fumble, some miscues early, but then kind of got our footing, were able to find a way. And then special teams, I thought it played its best, cleanest game so far this season. But when it was all said and done, I like the way the guys came out at halftime, handled the adjustments, and then played for 4 quarters and ultimately found a way to win a football game. Now the attention, just like always, immediately turns to Tulsa, another conference game. We know how well coached they are. Their coaching staff has been together for a while at variety of places, and they've had success. Coach Lamb does a wonderful job. We also know that they beat a Big 12 opponent on the road, and so they're used to big-time atmospheres. Hopefully we get to create one, and our fans show up on Saturday. We got to need them there Saturday night for the kickoff, and hopefully find a way to go 1-0 this week.
Ryan, what is their shift maybe in mindset? You've played a lot of offensive-minded teams, and to your point, Tulsa went on the road, held Oklahoma State to 12 points. How does that change your approach?
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job defensively. You look at their front four on their defensive line, it's massive. I mean, they look like an SEC defensive line, the way they play. And that's not coach speak. I mean, I think that they understand what they are, and they do a great job from a defensive standpoint. Their linebackers run well. Their secondary, I mean, they lined up versus Oklahoma State and played some man coverage and just thought they were better. But they base out a variety of different things, and they do a great job. So, offensively, we're going to have to be able to handle it and handle it well. Certainly can't turn the ball over, and we've got to be efficient. But then you turn back around and look at their offense. They've got some skill players too. They got some production. They do things at a high level, and they give a variety of different formations. So there's challenges every week, but our guys will be ready for it.
Brian, when you talk about maximizing opportunities, you guys get in the red zone. You're getting way more touchdowns than field goals. Just how much is the running game helping fuel the red zone success?
I think that's part of it. I think when you get to the red zone, you ultimately, because of the end zone shrinks, right? The spacing shrinks. I know that sounds funny to say, but the passing game gets more and more difficult. The windows are smaller. And so the ability to run the football down there makes a huge difference. Also, Brendon Lewis's legs. I think people are going to have to account for that now. A lot of teams talk about different things you can do in the red zone, but having the ability to run a quarterback, or if it's not there, pull it down. So you always need 6s in this game and age. Look, I love Gianni, and I love what we're doing as a field goal unit, but ultimately we hope we'll only see him on the field kicking extra points.
And then you talked about, before the season, the depth at tight end. You saw Adcock have some great blocks, one on the 90 yards. Just how have you seen him come along, especially in the blocking game?
Yeah, we bought in Matt Adcock thinking, hey, this guy's going to be a special teamer and a fullback type body, but he's put himself in the position to play a lot more snaps, and I think we saw that on Saturday, and he does those things. He has the ability to catch the football as well, so it's not like he's just a blocking tight end, and so we felt comfortable. I mean, he was in there on a lot of third downs, and his growth has been tremendous. He's not a guy that we sat there and talked about, hey, this guy's got to see the field 60% of the time at tight end probably 3 months ago, but he's earned that right week in and week out and put himself in that right position.
With Sutton and Greg, we see them each have a big game 2 weeks in a row. So now that you have both of them healthy, you face a good problem to have with 2 great backs. So just how do you balance them and making sure you're getting the most you possibly can out of both of them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a good problem to have, and I don't look at it as a problem. The one thing about those two is they feed off each other. They've got a great relationship, so there's not one of these like, why is he getting that? And they both have unique skill sets, right? They both have the ability to kind of line up and play wide receiver if they need to. They both can be dangerous in the return game. We know that Greg, prior to his injury, was starting as a kickoff returner for us. We know what Sutton's able to do in the punt return game. So having those two guys as threats in the return game is huge. But I think they can go hand in hand. We could sit there and say, okay, hey, this set of plays is for Greg. Oh, it could easily be Sutton. And I think just complementing each other. Sometimes during the game, it's saying, okay, who's got the hot hand at that time? But quite pleased with both of them. Both have a great approach to it, and they both cheer each other on. They're positive. They support each other, and it's great to have those two type of running backs in the backfield. Obviously, we've had some good running backs in our running back room year after year after year, and those two are very special. Plus, we also like the other guys we have in there, and they think they're all capable of carrying the rock for us as well.
Coach, Brendon Lewis is getting more comfortable each week, but this past Saturday we saw him emerge as a leader. Can you kind of elaborate what you saw from him?
Yeah, Brendon Lewis is one of those that I think when he first got here, he's just getting comfortable, trying to understand, hey, this is the Memphis culture. This is how the football program works. This is how Ryan Silverfield wants things done. And now, as he's kind of taken reins of this offense and taken that leadership capacity, he got voted captain unanimously. He was our highest voted captain. The players all respect him. And the way he plays the game, all right, I think first and foremost, the fans get to see how tough he is, right? And our players know that. He's gutsy, and he loves the game. He's also one of the first ones in the building every morning. I'm talking tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. He's already going to be in the building watching film. And so that preparation, the way he loves the game, the way he loves his teammates, has already put him aside to be a leader. And then, oh, by the way, he goes out there and he shares conversations with guys. He's getting guys lined up. He's being positive. He's directing them on the sideline. And so all those attributes, wonderful attributes of Brendon Lewis, have kind of raised him up. And we get to see it week in, week out, not only by his play, but the way his players can continue to follow him. And we're all on the Brendon Lewis board and excited for what he's doing in between the white lines and then also off the field.
You talked about his toughness, and clearly in that game, I felt like he took some dings, right? Like he got dinged up pretty good in that game. Is he doing okay?
Yeah, Brendon Lewis is doing well. Now we're gonna have to teach him how to slide a little bit more, take care of his body. There's some of those things. I'm like, hey, let's not take those unnecessary hits, and he kind of, I got you. And then I'm like, oh, okay. No, he doesn't. He's going to continue to. He'd rather try to run through guys. It's unique because over the last 9 years we haven't had that type of quarterback here. And as you guys know, I love our previous quarterbacks, but he brings a different dynamic and element to the game. Now, we want him to preserve his body and be smart with those things. Let's avoid the unnecessary ones. He puts himself sometimes in a position where he doesn't need to take some of those hits.
After the game, he agreed that he needs to watch the contact, but he did say that I don't know if sliding is the answer. How do you approach the conversation with him when he has a little different mindset?
Yeah, I'd rather approach it that way than the quarterback that fears for their life and is sliding 10 yards before the closest defender. So it's better talk the guy off the ledge and saying, hey, come on up here, let's live a little bit harder. Though for him, it's just kind of continue to talk about protecting yourself, right? We hope we're playing a lot of football, and he's so reliable to what we want to do. We also have so much faith in what he's able to do that we've got to be smart with him. And it's just talking to him, hey, on this situation, if you find yourself here, cool, run through that dude. But in this situation, if you find yourself here, let's take that step out of bounds. And so I think continue to educate him. But it's hard to change the mindset of a young man that says, hey, you know what, I'm okay. I got this. If I can get an extra couple yards, I'm going to do so.
Do you think the stinger, though, like, hey, we dodged a bullet here with the stinger you had, maybe you want to listen to me a little bit more. Do you think you can use that to your advantage?
So you have a son, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Does he listen to everything you tell him?
No, he does not.
Yeah, so I've got 120 of them. They're 18 to 23-year-olds, and I tell them a lot of things, and generally trying to put them in the right direction of how to best live their life. Not only that, but how to play football, other things they should be doing outside of football. And I'd say, look, there's quite a bit of buy-in, quite a bit of listening. Sometimes they're too stubborn for their own good. My wife tells me that all the time. And so ultimately, I do think he understands, and it's going to continue to show him, hey, this is the best situation for yourself, because he's got a bright future for the rest of the year here and for a long time.
Makari was out Saturday on the injury report. How is he coming along?
Yeah, I think he's going to be day-to-day. Just met with our medical staff. We're hoping that he can progress where he can play this week.
Coach, I know Twitter is your favorite social media platform. You watch it all the time. You pay attention to it.
Yes.
During the game, at the end of the game, there was a this does not look like Ryan Silverfield coach teams, right? Like the way that y'all kind of put it on at FAU at the end of the game. Was that intentional, or was that just a part of the? Because there is, you know what I'm saying.
Yes. So, tongue in cheek, I'll answer that question. One, as you well know, I'm off social media, all social media platforms. I only do have Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, but I don't look at it. And then ultimately, at the end of the game, they were giving us different looks, and the ability for the quarterback to pull it and put it in there. Also, what happened was, for the safety of our own offense, they had gotten multiple personal fouls called on their defense back-to-back plays. And the only way I could get our guys, rather than taking knees, which at that point we weren't able to, was to, okay, hey, the defensive end's biting. Let's quarterback keep it and protect yourself, Brendon. But ultimately, that led to that. But with all the personal fouls that went on at that point, it was the best thing we could do for the safety of our players, and then go out there and play defense.
It's got to feel pretty good to protect your team by scoring touchdowns, right? Like, there are a lot of personal fouls. Let's go score touchdowns.
I hope that we get to do that for a long, long time here. Just right, like that's part of it. But ultimately, it just I think it was we weren't throwing the football, right? We weren't trying to score more points at the end for any variety of reasons. But other than, listen, it was getting out of hand at that point. And credit to our guys. That's one of the things I didn't share post game. It's easy to respond and to fight back, and to, if an opponent says something, throws a punch, it's easy to retaliate. I was proud of our guys for just walking away and saying, okay, hey, we got a lot more football left ahead of us. And that's one of those things I didn't get a chance to speak in the post game. So I think it speaks volumes about the young men within our program.
On the injury report, this was the first week that you had to do it. Just what did you like about, or didn't like, whatever, about how the process went and how beneficial it is to both coaching staff?
Yeah, Frank, as I mentioned before, I was actually the one that proposed an injury report to our conference. I see it's what's occurring in college football. I know it's one of those things that, let's not sit here another year and not be a conference that even talks about it. I think it actually makes the media's job a little bit easier, so you have an understanding. I think it's fair. I think it's the right thing to do. Right? We've played teams where they're like, oh yeah, he had a great week of practice, all that stuff, and then you find out that he tore his ACL 2 weeks ago, and a coach wasn't being forthright. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to the media. I don't think if you're on a national broadcast, that doesn't do anybody any good. And so the more we can continue to be transparent about that. Now, we're not going into every detail of every injury. I think that's good. There are some things, and I talked to the conference about this, right? Like, if somebody's listed as questionable, all right, but then they don't even go out for warm-ups, is that the right thing? Okay, and no different. Like, say we had listed a guy as questionable, but he didn't even make the flight for us, then that's not right sportsmanship by me. So I think there's things we can continue to tweak and learn from this, and I just hope that everybody's being pretty open and honest about the whole thing.
As you prepare for Tulsa, what stands out to you about them offensively?
Yeah, look, they have a young quarterback that can do some really good things. He's playing at a high level. Coach Lamb, their head coach, is an offensive guy, and he's done things in a variety of different ways, right? Like, I'll start with this. Like, he likes to run an unbalanced formations. Ultimately, he wants to play sound, disciplined football, right? They're one of those teams that they're not going to have a whole lot of self-inflicted wounds. And I think in college football, a lot of these teams offensively will stub their own toe, right? Whether it be a holding, an offside, a false start, throwing the ball in opportune situations. And I think they're just one of those offenses that just lines up and says, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're really good at this. They also got some talent, different skill guys that can go up and make plays on the football. I know they think highly of their running backs. Their offensive line is continuing to get better and better. And they'll use a variety of different tight ends. So, I think there's going to be the challenges and every week. And I think you sit there and watch early on, their game versus Tulane was very close. And so we know what type of defense Tulane has. And so I think Tulsa, in all three phases, they're going to be well coached and well disciplined. And our defense has to come out and play football at a high level. We talked about what our offense will need to do. And then, we got to continue to improve on our special teams. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge. It's the next conference game, so we're really excited about the opportunity.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.